What is going on, folks? My name is Spice. This is Spice Can't Fish. Today, I got a bag. So I just came back from Denver. I was actually down there visiting my buddy Evan. I went down there just for a couple hours today just because I haven't seen him for a little bit and I didn't have anything else to do. But on the way back, I decided to stop at Cabela's just because I don't really stop there all that much because it's kind of out of the way. It's about 45 minutes away from me, so I don't really go down all that far. But since I was passing by, I figured I'd hop in and see if there's anything that I needed. I knew there was a couple of things that I wanted to get, so I went in there with just a couple of things in mind and obviously ended up picking up a few more things that I needed. I was trying to spend only about 50 bucks, ended up spending about 70 or 80 bucks, so wasn't really the best idea for me to go in there, but figured I'd go through all the stuff that I got and explain to you what I picked out. Got a couple of baits in here that I've never seen before that I wanted to try out, as well as a few baits that I've used a few times, but just in a couple of different colors. I got a couple of things that obviously I've used a whole bunch that I just need to stock up on. But I figured I'd do a little sit-down unboxing and show you guys what I picked up from Cabela's. So the first thing I guess we'll go over is something not super interesting, but I got a bunch of these little snap swivels. They're 120 pound, 120 pound test. They're just little VMC snap swivels. I got these for one very specific purpose. Usually I don't use snap swivels, but I actually needed them for this little thing over here. So if you guys don't know what this is a signal double rig, I think is what they call it. It's essentially just like two little lengths of like wire leader. If you guys have ever used like steel or wire leader for pike fishing or musky fishing, it's pretty much just that stuff. And then on the end of them, it's just got two of these little snap swivel type deals on it. This thing's super cool. The idea behind it is for you to actually put two different baits together. I know a lot of people like to use these for like the DRT clashes, the Clash 9s, and the tiny clashes. My buddy Jack actually gave this to me for Christmas. Shout out to you, Jack, by the way, if you're watching. But my buddy Jack gave this to me for Christmas, and my first thought was to actually put the two Beebses on this. So I'm gonna hook this thing up real quick, just because it's probably gonna look ridiculous, but I have to see what it looks like. Oh my god, look at this. That's fantastic. So yeah, as you guys can see, it's like two different lengths of wire leader, and the idea is for you to have two different baits. So it looks like one of them swimming in front of the other one, or one of them's chasing the other one, I guess. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what this thing looks like. I'm probably going to have to go try and find some open water somewhere around here and throw this thing around a little bit because I just want to see what it looks like in the water. I guess next up we'll talk about something that I also actually went in there to go and get. This is a KVD, or Kevin Van Dam Strike King Tournament Series swimming jig. It's a 3/8 ounce. I don't know exactly what color they call this, but it's like a black with some blue and purple in it. Looks super good. Again, I really just needed a black and blue swim jig. Wasn't really looking for this one specifically, but I think this was just about the only option that they had in there. So figured I'd pick one up just because, again, I am in dire need of some black and blue swim jigs. Probably have to make like a tackle warehouse order in the future just to get some actual swim jigs that I want to throw, but figured I may as well pick one up just to give it a shot. I've never thrown this type of swim jig before, but it looks decent, I guess. I don't really like a lot of the skirted baits from Strike King. For whatever reason, I've had really bad luck with them. Like the skirts always fall off or fray up really easy, or they just don't really last all that long. So I kind of stay away from the Strike King like blade jigs and regular jigs, spinner baits, stuff like that. But I mean, this is like a tournament series, so I assume it's built a little bit better. I assume it's built to stand up to a little bit higher caliber fish, so we'll have to give this thing a shot. The one thing that I did really like about this swim jig is that it has a couple of rattles. I'm sure you guys can't see that, but I'll have some other up-close images laying over for you guys to take a closer look at this bait. But it's got these two little rattles on the shank of the hook just to add a little bit of noise, so we'll have to play around with that, see how that works in the spring. Again, I don't really throw a swim jig a whole ton. I usually prefer to either throw like a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, but I have noticed that this year when they weren't eating a spinnerbait or a chatterbait all too well, I could get them to eat a swim jig a little bit better. And a black and blue swim jig is something that, again, I've had some good luck with, especially around places where people are throwing that chatterbait and that spinnerbait a whole lot. It's just a little bit more subtle, so something a little bit more natural for those fish, but it's still got that dark profile so they can really find it. And I feel like those little extra rattles will just give it a little bit extra noise, so hopefully it'll help bring those fish in from a little further distance. But thought it was kind of cool, so figured I'd pick one up. The other thing that I went into the store for was a couple of frogs. I am running seriously low on some frogs, so picked up a couple more black frogs. We got a scum frog. This is a trophy series. It's just the black color. Half-ounce frog. I really like the scum frogs. If you guys have never used them, they are one of the best frogs for just like fishing over, you know, scum and stuff. They don't walk super well, so if you guys are fishing like more open water, it's not really my ideal frog for that. But if you guys are fishing really, really heavy scum, as you would probably suggest by the scum frog name, they do super well over that stuff. I never really have an issue hooking up on this thing. I seem to have pretty good hookup ratio on the scum frog, so I really do like these things. Figured I'd pick one up. They are a little expensive down at Cabela's for some reason. They're like $7 instead of like $5 or so, but figured I'd just pick one up just because, again, I needed another frog. Then I also picked up another standby. This is just a Booyah Pad Crasher. If you guys have thrown a frog, I'm sure you guys have thrown a Booyah Pad Crasher. They're one of the industry standards, especially when it comes to like the more affordable frogs, any of those like frogs under $10. This is probably the one that most people gravitate towards for whatever reason. You can find them anywhere. They're in Walmart, Bass Pro, Dick's, Academy, pretty much anywhere that you can find fishing tackle, you'll find a Booyah Pad Crasher. So definitely a great little option. This is the Night Train color, so just a black with some blue tails. Pretty interesting little color. Again, just named a black frog. I don't really think the tail color makes any difference. It's just kind of the color that I decided to go with. I think that rounds out just about everything that I went in there to get, so now we'll get into the extra stuff that I didn't really mean to pick up, but I ended up picking up because I have a spending problem. So the first thing I got is a Strike King KVD 1.5 shallow runner. So it's the shallow running version of their square bill. Runs only down to 3 foot, so super shallow diving square bill. I like these for fishing over actually the tops of grass. Back when I was first fishing, I used to buy a bunch of square bills or get a bunch of square bills just from mystery tackle boxes back when I used to be subscribed to them, or just from random people just giving them to me. I would end up with a bunch of square bills, but there was really never any rock or anything for me to throw the square bills on where I live, so I ended up actually throwing them super slow and just like really slowly cranking them almost wake bait style over the tops of grass. Now obviously you can do that with just a normal wake bait, but I didn't know what a wake bait was at the time. I just had a bunch of square bills, so that's what I used and that's what I caught fish on. But again, I figured I'd try this one out for pretty much the same application. Again, super shallow runner, only goes down to about 3 feet, but it'll probably run to like 1 or 2 foot really. And this is the natural brim color. It's one of the few Strike King hardbait colors that I actually really like. Again, they don't really make a ton of really good colors. It's just like very basic colors, which they catch fish, they work super fine, but personally I like to have a little bit higher quality paint scheme on my baits, so something like this is definitely something that I'll reach for a little bit more often than like a normal like shad or like bait fish style pattern. But yeah, like I said, natural brim, that's just kind of like to imitate like a bluegill or any sort of like brim or panfish species. So little square bill crankbait, again, haven't thrown these before, so we're gonna have to give that a shot. But seemed like it was kind of an interesting deal, so I figured I'd pick one up. I guess we'll just keep going with the Strike King stuff, because I guess I picked up a whole bunch of Strike King. They don't really have a great selection down at the Cabelas near me. I just kind of got to deal with what I got to deal with. But for whatever reason, they have a ton of Strike King baits, so that's just generally what I tend to pick up when I go down there, because that's just about the best option that I have when I'm going down to pick stuff up from there. So first up, I got a pack of the finesse worms. These are just the Strike King finesse worms. It's the bold bluegill color, so kind of like a green pumpkin watermelon on top and then a chartreuse on the bottom. Really bright color, should be good for either off clarity water or over in the summer when the fish are really eating on bluegill in the post spawn and stuff like that. These colors tend to work really well, anything with like a bright chartreuse in it. I don't think I've ever actually thrown the Strike King finesse worms before, so this is going to be a new bait for me, but I mean, a finesse worm is a finesse worm is a finesse worm in my eyes. This is literally the exact same thing as the Zoom finesse worm, except it's got like a little divot in the tail right there. They do have that nice coffee scent on them, which I do like from Strike King. I like that coffee scent. Once you take this bait out of the packaging, it doesn't look as bright on the belly, which I like, but maybe that's different because some of these look super bright, whereas this one looks kind of less so. Yeah, it seems like they're just kind of like an uneven pour, but regardless, the top of it's going to be more of that green pumpkin and the bottom's going to be more of like a chartreuse on it. Good looking color though, I'm pretty excited to throw that one around. I've actually got 3 brand new colors for me. I've never thrown any of these colors, and they're all Strike King baits, so that's pretty sweet. These next few baits though, I have at least thrown the actual baits, just like I said, not these colors. So we got a pack of the structure bugs. This is the chameleon color, which I actually really like. I don't know what they were going for when they were making this color, what they were imitating, maybe a bluegill, maybe a crawfish, but it's really just a bunch of everything. It's like green pumpkin and watermelon red, got like some peanut butter jelly in there, a little bit of bright blue. Really good looking color, just does like a great job of imitating a little bit of everything, whether it's a bluegill or a crawfish. It looks kind of strange outside of the water, but I'm sure once it gets in the water, all those colors will kind of like blend together and pop, and all that little flake and stuff will look really good once it starts flashing in the sunlight. But the menaces are great. You can throw them on a Texas rig. I like to throw them like flipping or something like that. They're also great little jig trailers and stuff if you like to throw a jig with a little bit more of like a creature style bait as a trailer. Again, I'd probably use these more for like a flipping bait or just like on a Texas rig or something like that as opposed to a jig trailer. Usually if I'm throwing a jig trailer, I will either pick up the Strike King, the little Rage Chunks, or I'll pick up a pack of these, which are the Rage Craws. This color is Watermelon Meat, which I don't know exactly what this color looked like. I just saw that it looked kind of interesting, so I figured I would just grab it. Let's see, what are we working with here? Okay, so it's like a... Well, that's kind of interesting. It's like a watermelon red with some black flake, but it's got like this red pearlescence to it too, which... That's really interesting. I've never seen a color like that before. That's really cool. We're going to have to try that out. Really interesting color. Watermelon meat. Yeah, I see where they get the name. It's definitely like that watermelon red, and then it's got like that meat pearlescence, I guess. Interesting. Definitely going to have to try these out. I think everybody knows that both the Rage Craw and the Rage Bug both catch fish super well, so figured I'd just pick some up in some new colors that I haven't tried. Let's see. Oh, we'll talk about these next. These are the Zoom Super Flukes. Everybody loves the Super Flukes. These are one of my favorite baits. I didn't throw them all that much up until this past year, but this past year I absolutely killed them on a fluke. I don't know what the deal is. I think people were just throwing a lot of Senkos, so just throwing something that's a little bit of a different style profile just really got those fish's attention. And this is my personal favorite color, at least as far as I've tried. This is Arkansas Shiner. It's, again, just kind of like a Shiner baitfish style imitator, as the name would suggest, but really, really good looking color. It's got kind of like a bluish, brownish back. It's really hard to explain, but it's like a brownish back with like some blue pearlescence in it. And the belly's like this off-white, like tannish, grayish color. But fantastic color. I love that for imitating either a bluegill or just like any sort of baitfish, shiner, shad, anything like that. I guess I don't really need any new flukes, but I could probably always pick up an extra pack. I think I'm down to like my last like 3 or 4 packs of flukes anyway, so it's probably good that I picked up an extra pack of flukes. I just grabbed these because I saw they had my favorite color in stock, so I figured I'd just pick one off while I was there. But yeah, these will definitely be getting some use in the future. If you guys haven't seen these before or tried them before, I would highly suggest trying that color specifically. Alright, the last 2 soft plastics in here are 2 baits that I have never seen, heard of, tried, none of it. So this one is actually a Cabela's product. This is the Leech. This is a black, it's just like a little black leech. It's like a little drop shot bait. Never seen these before. They were in the wrong spot. I don't know where they were supposed to be in Cabela's, but when I saw them, they were just like in front of another bait, so they definitely weren't supposed to be there. But look at that little thing. It's just like a little tiny flat leech, little flat worm thing. They are so finessey. They're a little 3-inch, comes in an 18 pack, so I mean you get enough baits to last you a good while at least. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to play around with this. I'd assume this is probably a drop shot bait. I can't imagine you could get any other style of hook into that plastic. It is so thin, and yeah, I think that's probably just gonna be a drop shot bait. But we're gonna have to play around with that. Maybe we'll do like a challenge video at some point in the future, see if some bass eat leeches. But yeah, the little Cabela's leech, don't really have too much to say about it. Just saw it, picked it up because it was like $2 or $3, and yeah, we're gonna see if we can catch some fish on it at some point. Now this last bait, I again have never used before, never seen before or anything, but I had to pick some of these up. They look so good. So these are the Berkley Powerbait Shape 108s, I think is what they call them. They're just like a little craw bait, but they are so sweet looking. I mean, obviously they're power bait, so they have that super good power bait smell, but they also have these little ridges and flanges on the claws and stuff that'll give them a ton of action, which I love. The big allure and the big grabber with power bait stuff isn't really so much the action for a lot of their baits. It's really more just the scent. A lot of the baits have decent profile, but they don't have a ton of action like as compared to some of the other baits on the market. They're decent baits, obviously, don't get me wrong, they'll catch fish, but without that scent, like, they're really nothing special. It's really just that power bait scent, whatever they put into it, that really makes those fish bite and really sets these apart from everything else, at least for the most part. But these little craws, these are super interesting. I'm just going to pop one of these out because I am so interested in taking a look at them. I got the peanut butter and jelly color, so it's like that brown and purple. Brown on one side, purple on the other. They come in a few different sizes and a bunch of different colors as well. I got the 3.5-inch size because I figured that would just kind of be like the good middle size. They go up to like 4.5 inches and then down to like 2.5 or like 3 or something like that. But look at that. Oh my god, they smell so bad. But look at that little thing. That is freaking sweet looking. Yeah, so it's got those little flanges, so that'll give off a good bit of action. I am really excited to give these things a try, either on like a Texas rig or a shaky head, or maybe just use them as like a jig trailer. I don't know, there's so many possibilities with these things. They look so good. They smell terrible, but they look so good. And yeah, I think that's all we got in the bag, folks. So that's going to do it for today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed. Probably just a little bit of a shorter unboxing for you guys. Got a couple other things that I didn't show you because they're going to be going into a giveaway at some point. So didn't want to ruin the surprise just yet for those, but got a couple other things that I got. But this is pretty much everything that's going to be going into my tackle box. Let me know what bait you guys really like out of this, which baits you guys want to see me throw. If you guys want to see me do like a review on any of these baits, especially those new power bait crawls, I'd be more than happy to do a review on them, or maybe that Strike King swim jig or something like that. But yeah, I gotta get this stuff put away. Think that's gonna do it for me. I'll check and wreck them, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.